The flickering streetlights cast long, distorted shadows across the rain-slicked pavement. A lone figure, Ilara, 32, walks with a determined pace, her silhouette occasionally swallowed by the deepening gloom. Ilara is a brilliant software engineer, a prodigy in her field, yet her career has been a series of spectacular near misses. Every time she approaches a breakthrough, every time success is within her grasp, something happens. A crucial file vanishes, a presentation mysteriously crashes, a sudden, inexplicable illness. Tonight she clutches a file to her chest, its contents representing months of relentless work, a project poised to redefine her company's entire trajectory. Her knuckles are white, a subtle tremor runs through her. Why does she feel this familiar dread, this almost magnetic pull towards an unseen precipice, just as her greatest triumph is about to unfold? This is not a story of external sabotage, not a tale of rivals or corporate espionage. This is a deeper mystery, woven into the very fabric of human psychology. It's about the invisible hand that guides us, not towards our aspirations, but away from them. It's about the silent, insidious force that compels us to dismantle our own achievements, to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Tonight, we delve into the enigma of self-sabotage, a phenomenon so common, so pervasive, yet so profoundly misunderstood. Why do we destroy our own success? What hidden mechanisms drive us to undermine the very outcomes we claim to desire? What if the greatest obstacle to your success isn't out there, but deep within? Consider Ilara. Her journey began with an innate curiosity, a relentless drive to solve complex problems. From a young age, she excelled. Scholarships, accolades, early graduation. Her path was paved with academic triumphs. Yet, a pattern emerged early on. In high school, a fiercely competitive science fair project, one she poured her soul into, was inexplicably left unfinished just hours before judging. A sudden migraine, she told her bewildered parents, a migraine that vanished the moment the award ceremony concluded. In college, a groundbreaking thesis, lauded by her professors, was presented with a crucial data omission, an oversight that cost her top honors. She remembered feeling a strange sense of relief when the mistake was pointed out, a perverse comfort in the familiar sting of imperfection. This isn't about a lack of capability. It's about a persistent, almost ritualistic undoing. The question isn't whether Ilara can succeed, it's why she doesn't. What psychological forces are at play, orchestrating these consistent self-inflicted setbacks? To unravel this mystery, we must first understand the concept of self-sabotage itself, not as an act of conscious malice, but as a complex interplay of unconscious drives and deeply ingrained patterns. One of the most potent drivers of self-sabotage is the fear of success. This might sound counterintuitive. Who fears success? Isn't it the ultimate goal? But for many, success carries a hidden burden, a weight of expectation, responsibility, and the terrifying prospect of change. Imagine Ilara, standing on the cusp of a major promotion. This promotion means more visibility, greater scrutiny, and the potential for public failure. It means stepping into uncharted territory, leaving behind the comfortable anonymity of her current role. For someone who has unconsciously associated success with increased pressure, with a spotlight that illuminates every perceived flaw, the temptation to retreat, to create a reason to stay small, becomes incredibly powerful. This fear often stems from early life experiences. Perhaps Ilara, as a child, witnessed a parent crumble under the weight of professional success. Perhaps she internalized the idea that prominence leads to isolation, that achievement brings envy. These subtle, often unspoken lessons become deeply embedded blueprints in our subconscious. When Ilara approaches a new peak, these old programs activate, whispering warnings, conjuring anxieties. Her subconscious, in an attempt to protect her from perceived threats, initiates a defensive maneuver, self-sabotage. It's a twisted form of self-preservation where avoiding potential pain outweighs the pursuit of genuine fulfillment. Another profound contributor to self-sabotage is the comfort of the familiar, even if the familiar is detrimental. This is the realm of repetitive patterns, the invisible threads that weave through our lives, pulling us back to known territories. For Ilara, the pattern of near success followed by a self-inflicted setback has become her default operating mode. It's a predictable cycle, a narrative she knows intimately. Even though it's painful, it's her pain. Stepping outside of this cycle, truly breaking through, would mean entering the unknown. The human mind, in its fundamental quest for safety and predictability, often prefers the certainty of a known struggle over the terrifying uncertainty of a new, potentially better reality. This is why we often repeat errors, even when we know better. The unconscious pull towards the familiar is stronger than conscious intention. Consider the role of identity. Who is Ilara without her struggle? If she were to achieve consistent, undeniable success, how would that alter her self-perception? For years, she might have unconsciously defined herself by her potential, by the brilliant mind that almost made it. This identity, while perhaps frustrating, is also deeply ingrained. To shed it, to become the person who consistently succeeds, demands a fundamental shift in her internal narrative. This identity shift can be terrifying. It means letting go of a familiar self, even a flawed one, and embracing a new, unknown version. The ego, in its protective function, often resists such profound changes, preferring the existing, albeit limiting, self-concept. The imposter syndrome also plays a significant role. Even with her undeniable talent, Ilara might harbor a deep-seated belief that she is not truly worthy of her accomplishments. She might feel like a fraud, constantly waiting for the moment when her true inadequacy will be exposed. When success looms, this feeling intensifies. The subconscious, perhaps believing it's doing her a favor, orchestrates a setback, effectively proving her unworthiness and thus preventing the perceived humiliation of being found out. It's a preemptive strike against a perceived future rejection, a self-fulfilling prophecy born from internal insecurity. Let's trace Ilara's current situation. Her project, codenamed Nexus, is a revolutionary AI integration system. It promises to streamline operations, increase efficiency by orders of magnitude, and potentially save her company millions. The presentation is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Her CEO, a notoriously demanding but visionary leader, will be there, along with the entire executive board. Ilara knows this is her moment. She's rehearsed every slide, double-checked every line of code. Yet as she walks home through the rain, a strange, almost dissociative feeling washes over her. She feels a growing urge to check one last thing, a tiny, innocuous piece of code she knows is already perfect. It's a whisper in her mind, a subtle suggestion, but it grows louder, more insistent. This is the insidious nature of self-sabotage. It rarely manifests as a grand, overt act. Instead, it often appears as a series of small, seemingly logical decisions, each one nudging us closer to the precipice. That one last check could easily turn into an accidental deletion, a corrupt file, a minor alteration that renders the entire system unstable. Her subconscious isn't trying to destroy her, it's trying to protect her based on old, outdated programming. It's perceiving the impending success as a threat, a gateway to the unknown, to greater demands, to potential failure on a grander scale. The concept of secondary gain also sheds light on this phenomenon. While Ilara consciously desires success, there might be unconscious benefits to her current pattern of near misses. Perhaps the repeated setbacks elicit sympathy from her colleagues, providing a sense of connection she craves. Perhaps the struggle itself has become a source of identity, a narrative that defines her. The attention, the almost there stories, the constant striving, These can provide a form of emotional payoff, a secondary gain that subtly reinforces the self-sabotaging behavior. It's a hidden reward system operating beneath the surface of conscious awareness. To truly understand Ilara's predicament, we must delve into the origins of her emotional patterns. Her parents, though loving, had high expectations. Her father, a respected academic, often praised her achievements but also subtly highlighted the immense pressure of maintaining excellence. Her mother, a talented artist who never quite made it, frequently lamented the cutthroat nature of creative industries, subtly implanting the idea that true success often comes at a great personal cost. These early messages, absorbed implicitly, shaped Ilara's internal landscape. She learned that success was a double-edged sword, desirable yet fraught with peril. This internal conflict, this push-pull between aspiration and apprehension, creates what psychologists call an approach-avoidance conflict. Ilara is drawn to success, but simultaneously repelled by its perceived consequences. Her internal system is perpetually conflicted, leading to a state of emotional paralysis, or in her case, active self-undoing. The brain, seeking to resolve this internal tension, often defaults to the path of least perceived resistance, which, ironically, is often the path that leads back to the familiar, even if that familiar is self-defeating. What then is the way out of this labyrinth of self-sabotage? The first step, as with any mystery, is awareness. Ilara must recognize the pattern. She must identify the moments when the subtle whispers begin, when the urge to check one last thing or to procrastinate on a crucial task emerges. This is not about blaming herself, but about observing the phenomenon without judgment. It's about becoming a detective of her own internal landscape. The next step involves challenging the underlying beliefs. Where did the fear of success come from? What are the old stories, the outdated programs that are still running in her subconscious? This often requires deep introspection, perhaps even the guidance of a therapist or coach. Ilara needs to confront the idea that success equals burden, that achievement leads to isolation, that she is an imposter. These beliefs, once brought into the light, begin to lose their power. Reframing success is also crucial. Instead of viewing success solely as an external achievement, she can begin to see it as an opportunity for growth, for contribution, for authentic self-expression. She can redefine what success means to her, detaching it from external validation and connecting it to internal fulfillment. This shift in perspective can dismantle the emotional triggers that lead to self-sabotage. Building a new relationship with the unknown is another vital component. Breaking free from repetitive patterns means venturing into unfamiliar territory. This requires courage, self-compassion, and a willingness to tolerate discomfort. Instead of retreating from the unknown, Ilara can learn to approach it with curiosity, seeing it as a space for learning and expansion rather than a threat. As Ilara finally reaches her apartment building, the rain intensifies. She unlocks her door, the file still clutched tightly. Inside, the quiet hum of her computer beckons. The one last check thought returns, stronger now. But this time, something is different. A faint flicker of recognition ignites within her. She pauses, her hand hovering over the keyboard. She sees the pattern. She feels the familiar pull. And for the first time, she questions it. This is the turning point, the moment of awakening. It's not about immediate, perfect change. It's about the conscious choice to observe, to understand, and to interrupt the automatic cycle. It's about recognizing that the greatest mysteries often lie within ourselves, and the most profound revelations come from shining a light on our own hidden patterns. The journey to overcome self-sabotage is not a sprint, it's a marathon of self-discovery. It requires patience, persistence, and a deep commitment to understanding the invisible forces that shape our lives. It's about rewriting the internal script, one conscious choice at a time. For Ilara, the battle isn't over, but she has taken the first, most crucial step. she has begun to see. The mystery is unfolding. If this exploration into the hidden depths of human behavior resonates with you, if you find yourself recognizing these invisible patterns in your own life, then you are not alone. This channel, Invisible Patterns, is dedicated to shedding light on these complex psychological phenomena. We invite you to delve deeper with us, to explore the intricate workings of the human mind, and to gain a profound understanding of why we do what we do. Join our community of introspective thinkers. Subscribe to Invisible Patterns and embark on a journey of self-discovery. Together, let's unravel the mysteries of our own minds. Her fingers, still damp from the rain, trace the worn edges of the file. Project Chimera, the faded label reads. A project she'd meticulously avoided for months, yet simultaneously obsessed over. The irony wasn't lost on her now. The one last check wasn't about the file, it was about the pattern itself. The familiar itch to re-examine, to reanalyze, to delay the inevitable submission. It was a well-worn path carved deep into her psyche. But tonight, the path felt different. Less like a compulsion, more like a revelation. It was as if a spotlight had suddenly illuminated the intricate network of wires and gears that powered her automatic responses. This wasn't just procrastination. It was a sophisticated, multi-layered defense mechanism designed to protect her from what exactly? Failure, success, the unknown. She opened the file. The familiar scent of old paper and stale coffee wafted up. The project, a complex algorithm designed to predict market fluctuations with unprecedented accuracy, was brilliant. She knew it was. Her colleagues knew it. Her supervisor had practically begged her to submit it. Yet here it sat, a testament to her invisible patterns. Ilara leaned back in her chair, the rhythmic drumming of rain against her window a counterpoint to the sudden clarity in her mind. This wasn't just about Project Chimera. This was about every unfinished painting, every half-written short story, every promising relationship that had withered on the vine of her indecision. It was about the subtle, insidious ways she had sabotaged her own potential, not out of malice, but out of a deeply ingrained, often unconscious fear. The fear, she realized, wasn't of failure. It was far more nuanced. It was the fear of being seen, of being judged, of the vulnerability that came with putting her authentic self, her true potential, out into the world. If she never finished, she could never truly fail. But more importantly, she could never truly succeed either. Success, she now understood, came with its own set of anxieties. The pressure to maintain, the expectation to replicate, the fear of losing what she had gained. This self-sabotage, this intricate dance of avoidance and perfectionism, wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a misguided attempt at self-preservation. Her mind, in its infinite wisdom, and sometimes its infinite neuroses, had constructed elaborate walls to protect her from perceived threats. But these walls, while shielding her from potential pain, had also imprisoned her, preventing her from experiencing the full spectrum of life's possibilities. The one last check was a delay tactic, a way to maintain control in a world that often felt chaotic. By perpetually refining, she could postpone the moment of judgment, keeping her work, and by extension herself, in a state of perpetual potential. It was a comfortable, albeit stifling, illusion of safety. Ilara picked up her pen, not to revise the algorithm, but to write. She pulled out a fresh notebook, its blank pages a stark contrast to the meticulously organized file. She began to dissect her own behavior, to label the patterns she had just recognized. The perfectionist's trap, the endless loop of refinement, driven by an unattainable standard, ensuring nothing is ever good enough to be released. The imposter syndrome's whisper, the insidious voice that questions her abilities, even in the face of overwhelming evidence of competence, leading to self-doubt and hesitation. The fear of success, the often unconscious apprehension of the responsibilities, expectations, and changes that come with achieving goals, the comfort of the known, the preference for familiar, even detrimental patterns over the uncertainty and vulnerability of new experiences or growth. As she wrote, a sense of liberation washed over her. This wasn't about fixing a flaw. It was about understanding a sophisticated internal system. It was about recognizing that these invisible patterns, while seemingly detrimental, had originated from a place of protection. Her mind, in its attempt to keep her safe, had inadvertently kept her small. The journey, she knew, would not be easy. Rewriting an internal script that had been running for decades was a monumental task. But for the first time, she felt equipped. She had a map. She had an understanding. This understanding, this awareness, is the bedrock of transformation. It's the first step in dismantling the invisible walls we build around ourselves. It's about moving from a state of unconscious reaction to conscious choice. It's about recognizing that our patterns, while deeply ingrained, are not our destiny. They are merely programs that can be rewritten, updated, and ultimately transcended. The rain outside had softened to a gentle drizzle. The hum of her computer seemed less demanding, more like a quiet invitation. The file, Project Chimera, still lay open, but its power over her had diminished. It was no longer a burden, but a symbol of the invisible patterns she had finally brought into the light. This is the essence of our work at Invisible Patterns. We believe that by illuminating these often hidden psychological forces, we empower individuals to reclaim their agency, to break free from self-imposed limitations, and to live lives of greater purpose and fulfillment. We explore not just the what of human behavior, but the profound why. We delve into the neuroscience, the evolutionary psychology, and the personal narratives that shape our internal landscapes. Join us as we continue to unravel these mysteries. Our next series will explore the fascinating interplay between our early childhood experiences and the adult patterns we develop. How do the echoes of our past shape our present choices? How can we heal old wounds and forge new, healthier pathways? Subscribe to Invisible Patterns, engage with our community, and embark on a journey that promises not just knowledge, but profound personal growth. The light is on. The patterns are waiting to be seen.